Let's now cover the winners and losers of this huge spending bill.
Defense spending got a big boost, and troops will get a 2.4% pay raise, the largest increase in nearly 10 years. The bill also included a few measures to address gun violence, including provisions to strengthen the federal background check system and research gun violence as a public health issue. But supporters of gun control say it fell short of real reform. Meanwhile, Washington lawmakers are touting some big wins for this state.
King 5's political reporter Natalie Brand is here with that angle. Natalie, good evening.
Mark, Lori, this was a more than 2,000-page bill, so there were a lot of wins in it, a lot of funding in it for various programs. But here's a look at what some of Washington's top lawmakers are celebrating tonight. Wildfire funding. This is considered a big win for western states, and Senator Maria Cantwell was one of the lead forces behind new legislation which includes an emergency fund of about $2 billion to help cover bad fire years. In the past, federal agencies like the U.S. Forest Service had to dip into money intended for reducing fire risk to fight fires instead, a practice known as fire borrowing. This new bill is intended to fix that. It's something both Senator Cantwell and Washington Congresswoman Cathy McMorris Rodgers have been talking about and trying to change for the past few years. Meanwhile, Senator Patty Murray is pointing to big wins in infrastructure. $1.5 billion worth of Tiger Grant funding was included in the new bill, triple the amount over last year, according to her office. That's the pot of money behind projects including link expansion and improvements to I-5 near JBLM. The budget also includes capital investment grant money for new transit projects, such as Sound Transit's Linwood Link Extension. Also interesting to note, the budget includes $50 million for railroad safety technology, including positive train control implementation. And that's something that's been in the headlines ever since the deadly train derailment near DuPont last December. Opioid funding received a more than $3 billion boost. That money will go towards treatment, prevention, and research programs focused on opioid addiction. The bill also directs additional resources to rural or underserved areas. And now to housing. Senator Cantwell highlights a double-digit boost to the low-income housing tax credit program, translating into about $3 billion in funding. That program is designed to incentivize private investment in low-income housing. The new budget bill also doubles the amount of funding for child care for low-income working families and adds money to Head Start, the program that provides preschool for low-income working families. Those are noted as key wins for Senator Murray. Congresswoman Cathy McMorris Rodgers also points to a win of continued funding to help rural schools pay for infrastructure and law enforcement needs. Another big issue that made it into this budget, $8 million in new grant money for training of sexual assault nurse examiners. Those are the special nurses we highlighted in a report last week who are specially trained to help victims of sexual assault and collect evidence that's needed for seeking justice. And of Washington state significance, the bill also includes money for Hanford cleanup and money for fisheries disasters. And that's only some of what's in it, which explains why a lot of lawmakers around the country were able to go home to their home states this weekend touting victories for their states and districts.